Well, it's official. Jill Stein is now a threat to the establishment. How do I know this? Well, you can actually gauge her threat level by looking at the hit pieces in the mainstream media. So, in an article titled "A New Low for Jill Stein" by Yvonne Abraham, she takes issue with the argument that Hillary Clinton is comparably as dangerous as Donald Trump. Now, even though I'll be voting for Jill Stein this election, I do believe that Hillary Clinton is in fact the lesser of two evils, at least on social issues in the Supreme Court. But with that being said, Hillary Clinton is still very dangerous, albeit in different ways than Donald Trump. So she argues, finally, Jill Stein's moment has arrived, and boy, is it an ugly one. And this crazy, terrifying election cycle looks like it'll be Stein's most successful yet, though it might be difficult to look at herself in the mirror afterwards. The scary things that Donald Trump says Hillary Clinton has already done, she told NPR a few days ago. Whether it's massively deporting immigrants, whether it's threatening nuclear warfare, whoa, criticize the Obama administration's record on deportations or Clinton herself as a war hawk, sure, but making the Democrats' shortcomings in those areas equivalent to those of a guy who wants to build a wall, expel millions, intimidate the press, revive torture, and have the military commit war crimes is so ridiculous I feel stupid just typing it. Oh, and did you notice something else, Greens? Trump is a climate change denier. Okay, so to that last point there, Hillary Clinton is only marginally better than Donald Trump on the issue of climate change, because although I give her credit for actually believing that global warming is a thing, well, she takes money from fossil fuel lobbyists who bundle contributions to her super PAC, and she also has taken a lot of money by pro-fracking companies. People who are in the fracking industry have held fundraisers for Hillary Clinton. So even though it's the case that Hillary Clinton takes it a step further and says, look, I believe that climate change exists, I would be surprised if she did anything more than Donald Trump would do for climate change. Now, I want for nothing more than to be proven wrong on that front, because I think climate change threatens humanity. But I don't believe that Hillary Clinton will be good on that issue. I don't think she's going to defy her fracking donors and fossil fuel donors and actually put forth meaningful climate change legislation. Now, all of the criticisms that she actually stated about Donald Trump are completely valid. I agree with her 100%. Those are very dangerous. But the point that Jill Stein is making is that many of the things that Donald Trump says he's going to do, the Democrats have already done it. Case in point, every single one of those criticisms that you've done, well, the Democrats aren't much better on those. The Democrats supported those things.
Mexico is such an important problem. Mexican government's policies are pushing migration north. There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously. Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
And furthermore, President Obama has deported more undocumented immigrants than any other president. And when it comes to the issue of intimidating the press, I'll admit that's bad. But I can't determine which is worse, intimidation or collusion. So we all know now that the DNC worked with CNN and MSNBC to push pro-Clinton narratives. And the parent companies of MSNBC and CNN, such as Time Warner, are some of Clinton's biggest donors. So regardless of how you slice it, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are trying to subvert democracy by controlling the media, but they're just going about it in different ways. Now, when it comes to Trump's egregious stance on torture, which, again, is illegal under both international and U.S. law, I agree that it's ineffective and is a violation of human rights, but we elected Obama with the expectation that he'd at least prosecute the CIA or any Bush administration officials responsible for carrying out torture. He chose not to do that. So if you choose not to punish those who commit these egregious acts, you're complicit in them. And when it comes to Donald Trump wanting to commit war crimes and by telling the military to kill the families of ISIS, that's sickening. But we should be consistent in our condemnation of civilian deaths. So I looked through your articles, and you didn't speak out when a drone strike recently killed 60 to 80 civilians, 35 of which were children, and 20 of which were women. Did you speak out against the fact that 90% of people killed in drone strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan are not enemy combatants? Where's your outrage there? Now let me remind you, this is Obama's drone war that he ramped up after Bush left office. Not to mention, these drone wars are illegal regardless if you agree or disagree with them. They violate the territorial integrity of the states that we're conducting them in. But where were you on that? Are you speaking out against those war crimes? Because those are war crimes. So yes, we're both on the same page. We both agree that Donald Trump is dangerous. but so are the Democrats. And the problem with Hillary Clinton supporters and Democratic Party loyalists is that they're not willing to hold Democrats to the same standard that they hold Republicans. So they'll call out the Republican Party when they talk about wanting to commit war crimes, but they won't actually condemn the war crimes that have already taken place. Case in point, Barack Obama. So you're just on Team Democrat no matter what. There's nothing they can say or do to turn you away. Anything that they do by definition is good because they're Democrats, because they're supposedly liberal. Well, that's not true. Both parties are very dangerous. Both candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, are very dangerous. They both have policies that could potentially lead to World War III. They both support a Syrian no-fly zone. It's an insane policy. I don't know how else to describe that. Yet you're only focused on the dangers that Donald Trump poses. Again, he's dangerous. I'm not going to diminish his danger. But Hillary Clinton is also dangerous, and Jill Stein supporters are actually consistent. We actually can see that both parties are in fact evil. They're dangerous to varying degrees and different levels, but we're just tired of dangerous candidates in general. I want for once to be able to vote for someone who is not going to kill people. Is that so much to ask? To not have blood on my hands when I cast my vote? That's all I want. Now, she continues, the rise of right-wing extremism in this country, Stein said, is being driven by NAFTA, globalization, and the big banks, all promoted by the Clintons. Putting another Clinton in the White House will fan the flames of this right-wing extremism, she said. We've known that for a long time, ever since Nazi Germany. Hey, you're off the hook, Adolf. Neoliberalism, not your unhinged demagoguery, brought us the Third Reich. This is ridiculous. Stein is encouraging voters to let the perfect be the enemy of the sane. You didn't pay attention in your history class. Hitler was a nationalist fascist, yes, but he also made an appeal to Germans who were disgruntled with the poor economic conditions Germany was facing after World War I. See, when you have more neoliberal policies that call for more deregulation and more tax cuts for the rich, that hurts the poor and the working classes and makes them angry. And when you're angry, that creates a window of opportunity for irrationality to creep in, thus allowing a demagogic buffoon like Donald Trump to come to power. Now he's saying it's the Mexicans that we have to blame for our economic problems because they're coming in, they're taking our jobs, they're committing crime, they're draining us of our resources, and that's actually appealing to people who are socioeconomically disadvantaged and angered to the point where they're willing to suspend reason and vote for someone, even if it's a crazy person, that will fight for them. So Jill Stein's point is that by electing more neoliberals, people will get more poor and more angry, and that breeds extremism. That's the point that she's trying to make. Now, finally, she says Stein can't honestly argue Trump and Clinton are equally harmful to the causes she holds dear. Doing so advances her own political fortunes at the country's expense. Gee, that seems familiar. Maybe if Stein is looking for someone to compare to Trump, the mirror would be a pretty good place to start. Now again, I'm not maintaining that Hillary Clinton is more dangerous or equally dangerous than Donald Trump. I think she's a little bit less dangerous than Trump, but that doesn't mean Hillary Clinton is not dangerous. It's easy to speak out against something directly in front of you that will cause chaos domestically, as long as I feel good about voting for someone who I think is not dangerous at all. Well, then that's all that matters, right? I don't have to do research on all the blood that's being shed in the Middle East because of both Democrat and Republican policies. And look, rather than being smug and condescending to Jill Stein and her supporters, maybe you should actually do research on what neoliberal policies do and the consequences of devastating neoliberal policies, how they have led to the complete and utter decline of the middle class, actually the disappearance of the middle class, basically, how they screw over the working poor. Now, again, Donald Trump is dangerous. People say, Mike, you're downplaying Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump is very dangerous. And here's the thing that you need to admit. Both political parties are dangerous. Democrats and Republicans. Democrats may be less dangerous than Republicans. But if you fail to admit that and see that and just choose to bury your head in the sand every election and just vote for them no matter what, they're going to continue to be dangerous. What Jill Stein and her supporters are trying to do is actually take a stand for once and prevent them from being dangerous. Let them know that we do have leverage in a democracy and you don't get our votes every election. If you're going to be dangerous, if you're going to commit war crimes, then you're not going to get our votes.